The Boston Celtics are fun again. They get the blowout win they needed in Brooklyn. And I think Ime Udoka should start getting some Coach of the Year consideration. I'm going to talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Thank you for making this show part of your daily routine and your first listen every day. It's free. It's available everywhere podcasts exist, every platform, and it's on YouTube. The show is on YouTube. Please watch the show on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. We're getting closer to that goal of 5,000 subscribers. We've crossed that 4,000. And now we're slowly marching to 5,000. Can we get it by the end of March? We'll see. We got 1 month to get to that 5,000. I am John Karalis. I cover the Boston Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a book called The Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars. I was a voter on the Boston Celtics all-time 75th anniversary team. So let's get into it. First, Rock Auto is sponsoring today's broadcast. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. Boston Celtics crushing the Brooklyn Nets. I called it a must win. They made it a must win. They just blew the doors off of Brooklyn. 129-106. Came out, asserted themselves early. A little bit of a dip in the second quarter. And then third quarter, boom, done. Fourth quarter, played even, mostly because of garbage time. Biggest lead of the game was 29 points. They got that late in the game. Celtics just kind of cruised in this one. So I'll talk about more of the game specifics, I think, in the second segment. In the third segment, I'm just going to start planting this bug in people's ears right now. Ime Udoka won't win Coach of the Year, but why he should start getting some attention for Coach of the Year. Third segment. Right now, I just want to talk about this fun team. The Celtics fans, a lot of you have used plenty of F words when talking about the Celtics. Fun has not been one of them. But this team, let's just say it right now. It's a fun basketball team. This team is having fun. It looks like they're having fun. It's fun to watch them. It's the whole thing. This Celtics team that was so bad or mediocre or frustrating. In fact, I'll contend that they weren't bad, but they were the worst kind of basketball team, which was frustrating and kind of running in mud. Like they couldn't get out of their own way. It was the same old story every time. There was no reason to think anything was going to get better. It's the worst because it made people kind of fight a little bit. People like me who remained optimistic. I saw this team. I saw the talent. I saw how they were playing, and I saw the potential for them to play differently. And I said, this team, there's something in here somewhere that, if things work out a certain way, they can figure stuff out. And then other people on the other side would be like, no, what are you, nuts? This is terrible. This is the worst. You can't do this. No. And it just kind of led to this annoying, angry kind of back and forth that didn't make anybody really happy. There was nothing. If the team was just bad, if the team was just like Detroit Pistons bad, then at least we could sit here and be like, okay, you need to move this guy. We need to move this guy. If the Celtics if everything had fallen apart and it was actually time to trade Jaylen or Jayson or something like that, you say, okay, got to rebuild. What can you get for Jaylen Brown? Start talking about packages for Jaylen Brown. What can you get for Jayson Tatum? What kind of packages can you get for Jayson Tatum? And maybe someday we'll talk about that. Maybe, 8 years from now, we'll be talking about that. But right now, all of that stuff, it never got to that point. So this little mediocrity thing kind of sucked. And let me tell you something, as a person who's creating content about a team, that's absolute worst kind of team that I could ask for, because no one wants to watch anything about that. It was just kind of like, well, who cares? But now this team's fun. This team is out there. They're running, they're passing, they're scoring in transition. They're having a grand old time, and it's fun to watch. There was a great moment at the end of this game. I got to play this soundbite from Jayson Tatum. So it's just under 9 minutes to go in the game. There's a steal. Ball gets kicked up ahead to Jayson Tatum. It's a 2-on-1, and Grant's running behind the play. Here's Grant going behind. He's pointing. It's pointing up. Alley-oop, alley-oop. And Jayson goes, nope. Takes it in, dunks it, and you can hear on the broadcast and you can see in the replay Grant Williams going, oh, wow. Like, I was open for the alley-oop, and you didn't give it up. Jayson and Grant are, like, really good friends. Like, they are everywhere together. They are everywhere together. Pre-game warm-ups, they are, like, paired off. They are always with each other. They've become, like, really good friends. And that was a really funny moment because Grant's, like, smiling and Tatum's smiling, and they're talking a little crap behind, to one another. So I asked Tatum after the game about it. Here's what he said.
Jayson, at the end of the game, you had a 2-on-1 where Grant was calling for the alley-oop, and you took it in anyway, and he gave you the oh wow. What was that exchange like afterwards? After you didn't give it up?
First of all, I love Grant to death, but he had a better chance of just calling for the ball. I think when he pointed up is when I made the executive decision of taking it myself. Because I don't know, if he has caught an alley-oop, he's probably caught 2 or 3 in his whole career. And I just told him, like, on the fast break, there's 2 guys I'm gonna throw a lob to, Rob and JB. Grant is a lot lower on that list. So maybe we can practice it, but in game, I did not feel comfortable throwing Grant Williams an alley-oop on a fast break. So I decided to just take it myself.
That might be the funniest Jayson Tatum has ever been in a post-game setting. But Celtics are out there enjoying themselves. They're playing great basketball. And it's because they're focused on defense. This was one of their better defensive efforts this season. And it was, obviously Brooklyn, like, let's be clear. Brooklyn is bad. Without half of their team, they're really bad. This is one of the perils of building your team around 3 stars when the stars are out. Every team's going to suffer when the stars are out, but they have even less depth. So no Kyrie, no Durant, no Ben Simmons, no Goran Dragic. None of those guys played. So this is a team you're supposed to beat, right? You're supposed to beat this team, but it wasn't like the Detroit game that they lost, where, okay, if Tatum had hit that last second shot and they would have walked out of there with a win, you say, okay, that was a Celtics team that didn't deserve to win. You beat a bad team, you move on. This is the Celtics go out there against a bad team, demolish them, just absolutely rip them to shreds, and do what they're supposed to do. After the game, Tatum's talking about how much fun they're having. Al Horford's talking about how much fun they're having playing defense, how engaged they are defensively. That Horford's like, yeah, we're covering for one another, we're engaged, we're talking, all of that stuff. He says, I love that. I love that we're doing this. This is what I love to do, play defense. Tatum, same thing. because look at the little carrot that's being dangled out there. Breakaway dunks, breakaway layups, easy money, easy buckets, easy baskets. You go out there, you play your defense, you either force a turnover or you force a miss, one and done, and you get out there and you start running. The Celtics shot 54%, while the Nets shot 41.5%. The Nets certainly missed plenty of shots. Open shots, shots they could have hit. Patty Mills was 0 of 9. That's not typical of him. He's generally going to hit a bunch of these shots that he had. Not that it would have made a huge difference, but it would have made things close or closer. But the Celtics had a real strong hand in a lot of these guys not shooting well. They played strong defense and forced Brooklyn to work late into the shot clock and one and done situations. That's first of all fun to do. And when you force that miss and you get out there and it's a steal and you get it up to Jaylen Brown and he's doing funky things and finishing and getting free throws, that's all fun stuff. That's all great. The Celtics are fun again. They're fun to watch. I feel comfortable talking about this because I don't think this is going to be like I don't think they're going to revert back to early season stuff unless somebody gets hurt. But at full strength, Marcus Smart, your starting point guard, Robert Williams, your starting center, the Jays and Al Horford. That group with Derek White coming in, Grant Williams coming in, Daniel Tice waiting in the wings. He didn't get into garbage time this time around, but the options that the Celtics have, Peyton Pritchard played well. These guys, I trust these guys. This group, that starting five with these guys coming off the bench, this 8-man rotation, 9-man rotation, I feel good about them. I feel good. I trust them. And you couldn't have said that much earlier this season, but they were never whole. Now they're out there, they're having fun, and we're having fun watching. And I'm going to talk more about the game in the specifics coming up next. First, I want to talk to you about TrueBill. Now, TrueBill is going to help you with all of those subscriptions. Maybe you've got a ton of streaming services. After the pandemic, everybody's got like 20 streaming services. There's a new streaming service all the time. Or maybe you've signed up for free trials, and those are the ones that renew without your consent because it's basically a scam that relies on you forgetting to cancel subscriptions. And you look at your bank account and you go, oh my God, how have I paid this much money in subscriptions? TrueBill is going to help you identify and stop paying for the subscriptions that you don't want, you don't need, the ones you forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel. So what you do is you link your accounts to TrueBill. They'll do it for you. They'll do one step, boom, cancel your subscription. They've even got TrueBill Concierge. They'll cancel the unwanted subscription so you don't have to. So TrueBill is going to help you. Trust me, I've had to deal with this stuff on my own. I should have used TrueBill a long time ago. They've saved over $100 million for their 2 million users. Matthew B wrote in, said, I saved $660 a year on my DirecTV bill, $120 for the year on my Sirius XM bill, $840 on the car insurance. So it works. Don't fall for the subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. Go right now, truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. It could save you thousands a year at truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. Today's show also brought to you by Rock Auto. Don't bother going to the strip mall and that chain store. Don't bother going to the dealership when you need something for your car. I'm here in New England, in Massachusetts. It's snowing outside as I record this. It's another snowstorm. You had a 70-degree day 2 days ago. Now we're going to get a foot of snow. The roads out there are going to be a mess because of it. Potholes are going to be popping up all over the place because of this. You're going to need something for your car. That's just how it goes in New England. Rock Auto is going to help you save money on the things that you need So check them out. They've got a great, expansive catalog, a bunch of different price points for all of the different things that you need. Do you understand the complicated nature of engines today? Great. They can help you out with the complicated pieces that go into those engines. If you're like me and you don't understand a whole lot of that stuff, but you can replace the wipers, you can replace the headlamps, you can do that kind of stuff, rockauto.com can help you with that too. It's got everything that you need. Go to rockauto.com. I'm sure you're going to buy something, and when you do, write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. That's how they know we sent you. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know. It's an amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Why not make Locked On Now your second listen every day? If you follow the Locked On Celtics Twitter account at LO Celtics, you'll see me tweet out hey, these are my initial thoughts after the game. That little 2-minute video is part of the Locked On Now. And every host is doing these. So after a game, you get the Brooklyn Nets perspective and you get the Celtics perspective on a day like this. Go to Locked On Now. It's a great way to get both sides of the story in a quick, easy podcast. Wherever you get those podcasts. It's also on the Locked On NBA channel on YouTube. So go check that out. All right. Celtics blew out the Brooklyn Nets. I think, as I mentioned before, the real story of this game is the Celtics came out defending really well. Jaylen Brown was a real beneficiary early on of the defense. The Celtics, obviously, was playing the defense, but get out once you see a steal or fight for a rebound, and your guys got it. Go, and you see the kick aheads. Marcus Smart was great in this game. Has been great. In fact, Al Horford said it started with Smart, and then he said he's really doing a good job of that. The pitching ahead, and I feel like that's been the biggest difference in these past few weeks. Al Horford said that Smart pushing the ball, and you can see it if you really look at it. The Smart is always kind of like, come on, waving for it, and then telling people, go, 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 get it, look up, go. Celtics did a great job of, after limiting Brooklyn and getting those misses, turning around and seeing who's up ahead, who's up there. Is that Jaylen on the wing? Boom, get it to Jaylen on the right wing. Jaylen made some really great plays on the right wing, and the Celtics were able to really capitalize. The Celtics scored 129 points in this. 125 of those points combined, all but 4 of those points either came in the paint, 3-pointers, or the free throw line. Now, the paint doesn't necessarily mean the rim, but it's close and you're attacking. There was one mid-range shot from Jaylen Brown. The other 2-pointer was a foot on the line. I think it was Jayson Tatum who had a foot on the line. So of all the baskets that they made, of all the points that they scored, only one was a mid-range jumper by Jaylen Brown that came out of the paint. That's because they were defending and they were running and they were getting either attacks at the basket, some floaters here and there, fouls, got to the free throw line a bunch. They ended up taking, 28 free throws, and they made 21 of them. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. That was Brooklyn. 27 free throws for the Celtics. So Celtics really got there and attacked. Both teams did a decent job of that. And so they got points in the paint. They got points from the free throw line. And then the ball movement, 28 assists in this game. So much great ball movement where a guy would not settle. And earlier this season, how many fights I got into on Twitter about guys settling and people saying, no, those are good shots. You got to take those shots. This basketball is exactly what I was talking about. Guys giving up good shots, getting great ones, getting to the rim, or working around and getting an even better look at a 3-pointer. This is the type of basketball I was talking about. Celtics, one of these was an amazing give and go. Oh my God, I can't believe the Celtics they're cutting And the give and go between Tatum and Marcus Smart, first of all, great cut on the give and go by Tatum. Second of all, great pass by Marcus Smart. Smart's passing has been just beautiful. I mean, that dude, that the out of bounds alley-oop to Robert Williams early on, Andre Drummond is just kind of standing there. Well, I'm defending. He's standing there. And Jalen's cutting to the right side. And Smart's like kind of holding it and like he's tracking his eyes with Jalen, but he's just waiting. And as soon as he saw out of his peripheral vision, Rob cutting, he just goes, whoop. And there's Andre Drummond going, oh, great view of that alley-oop. Bad defense. Smart's pass to Jayson Tatum. Gorgeous. Then Tatum rises up and dunks on 3 Brooklyn Nets. That was amazing. Celtics recognizing these give and go opportunities is big. They're trusting each other. And I know that these are bad teams, but they're just the fact that they recognize it and they're doing it. I mean, come on. Got to give it up for that. The fact that they're making these cuts and the ball is finding these guys. Marcus Smart, low key, because he didn't have like big counting stats. He was 5 of 6, all of them from 3. What a 3-point shooting barrage from Marcus Smart. But I don't even care that it was all from 3-pointers. Like he was just hot from 3. Big deal. 6 rebounds, a couple of steals for him. 6 assists, 3 rebounds, a couple of steals for Marcus Smart, plus 23, second only to Al Horford. But Smart's pushing of the ball and the ball movement and his recognition was just great. Jalen had it going early. Tatum dropped 30. He had 30 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. Just pouring it on, I think, later on in the second half. Just a good overall game from Tatum. He did everything. Great defense. And then it was late in the third quarter. Celtics were up 22, and there's a loose ball, and there he is. He's diving on the floor. You're up 22. It's the third quarter. You're Jayson Tatum. The ball's like slowly rolling out of bounds. I think most people will be like, yeah, I'm okay if he doesn't dive on the floor for that. Don't want him breaking a finger or something stupid. But the message to the rest of the team, like, hey, guys, it's a 22-point game, and Jayson Tatum is diving on the floor. Like, if you're not willing to do the work, your star player your all-star is doing the work. He's diving on the floor in a 22-point game. You better be diving on the floor. You better be putting in that effort. That's a big message to send for him. I thought that was a really great kind of moment there. Robert Williams, again, like nothing out of control. Like it wasn't a crazy Robert Williams game. The alley-oop, a couple of nice plays, some very well-timed putbacks. When the Nets had it down to about 12-point game late in the second quarter. The second quarter was kind of iffy. And then they were starting to make a little bit of a noise. And then Rob has that putback. Tatum has that dunk. And there was one other play there. 7-0 run, kind of like squashes that. That was like the last gasp of Brooklyn Nets kind of making any sort of noise. Like I said, Al Horford was great. Al Horford, 11 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He was everywhere on defense. He was super high energy. I mean, he was inspiring defensively, like really inspiring defensively. He was, I mean, great. What a great performance. Like I think he needed the All-Star break. He probably needed the All-Star break as much as anybody, maybe more than anybody. And hopefully with Daniel Tice here, one thing, if we're going to criticize Ime Udoka for anything here, it's that he didn't go to Daniel Tice. He said after the game, like, these guys were rolling, kind of wanted to go with them. Okay, fine, I get it. But hopefully they can work a little bit of Daniel Tice in, just a little bit, to kind of ease the burden on Al Horford. He came back refreshed, man, like really just a great defensive game from Horford. And yeah, that's it. I thought the Celtics basically, I said in yesterday's podcast, I said it on Boston Sports Journal, I want to see the Celtics come out and play the right way. If they play the right way, I'm happy. And chances are they're going to win. They played the exact right way. Ime Udoka has these guys buying in. I think we're going to start seeing some coach of the year kind of I'm starting that. I'm starting to light this fire. We're going to see some smoke here. Ime coach of the year votes. I'm going to talk about that next. First, Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar on the market. They have all kinds of products at Built Bar. They got Built Puffs, which is basically a protein infused marshmallow, which tastes great and it's good for you, and it's also covered in chocolate. It's not just a protein bar, it's different things over there. But the protein bars are at the heart of everything that Built does. So if you go to built.com, check it out. If you scroll over the different products, it'll give you the nutrition information, so you can make a very informed decision about what you want to buy. All sorts of different things that, whatever type of flavors you like. Do you like fruity stuff? Do you like coconut? Do you like mint? Do you like peanut butter? Any of that stuff, it's there at built.com. Generally, what you're going to get, 130 so calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein or so. So go check it out. It's better than a candy bar if you just want to snack on something. It's a great protein bar to take with you to the gym because it's not going to blow out your cardio. It's not going to erase all the calories you just burned. Plus, you get the protein that you kind of, your body craves after you lift weights. So go to built.com, use the promo code LOCK15. The best part is you can use LOCK15 every single time you go to built.com. So go sample a couple of things. Don't go crazy. Buy one thing. Just buy one little thing, a mixed box or something, and you can go back the next time and say, I like these. I'm going to stock up. LOCK15 gets you 15% off every time you order at built.com. With the win over Brooklyn, the Boston Celtics are 35-26. They have as many wins as the Philadelphia 76ers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're one fewer win than the Milwaukee Bucks. 35 wins. Puts them in a pretty good spot. They are, after Cleveland lost, they are one game behind the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 5th seed. They are a game and a half out of 3rd or 4th. Philly and Milwaukee are in a virtual tie. So the Celtics are in a good spot. The Celtics, as I said earlier, spent much of the season kind of mediocre. Right. And Tom Westerholm and I talked about this exact thing in yesterday's podcast. They kind of floated around, and look, Ime comes in, rookie head coach, new system, new everything, new language, new edicts, new, direction for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, everything's new. Right. And then what happens? At the end of training camp, Al Horford gets COVID. Jaylen Brown gets COVID. Then after he comes back, he has those up and downs. Remember the big game against the Knicks, and then against Chicago, or like every other game was good, and we were wondering, like, are you really back from COVID or not? Then he goes out and he hurts his hamstring. The Celtics, between not having full health and the COVID outbreak that just crushed every team. Remember, the Celtics signed Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson got into a game. All of that played into what was going on with the Celtics. And in all of my warnings of don't let all of this stuff make you think like this is exactly how it's going to be. This team does have the potential to break out of this. They do have the potential to be better than what they are. It's hard to, in that moment, say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to be patient." I believe that. Now, people aren't going to be patient. But Ime and the players said, hey, we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure this out. Once they got fully healthy, which they couldn't do until mid-January, and guys started to you started to see the little bits of progress and frustrating losses still from time to time, still couldn't get it together consistently, but still some signs of progress. Those games where Tatum was really starting to move the ball around. You're like, okay, I see it. Jalen was starting to figure it out. Guys were starting, you saw the progression from Rob, and you're just looking for everything to kind of snap together and not have Dennis Schroeder be a big part of everything. All of that stuff, once they got healthy and once everybody started to be like, okay, I get it, I'm buying in, all of that stuff has led to the Celtics winning, was it 12 of 14 now? And being 35-26. And with 21 games left, being 15-6 the rest of the way from a 50-win team. So what do I mean when I say Ime Udoka getting coach of the year votes? Well, first of all, if you are the coach of a 50-win team, automatically I think you get the name tossed into the hat, right? And maybe you're not the number one vote or the number one vote getter, but everybody who coaches their team to a 50-win season has like some level of like, all right, the coaching had some reason to do with this, right? The coaching on this team and why I think it will be worthy, not of him winning the award, but of him getting some real consideration. When the awards are starting to get discussed in the next couple of weeks, if the Celtics keep going the way they're going and beating these bad teams, so beat Detroit, beat Indy this weekend, and get to 37-26, which now puts you 11 games above 500. And all of a sudden you're in the middle of that Eastern Conference pack, and people say, oh, you know what? What a run by the Celtics. And you start looking at, they really did learn some new things from Ime. Jayson Tatum did expand his game. Jaylen Brown is expanding his game. Look at the defense that this team has displayed. And they did have defensive players that have performed well defensively in the past, but last year's team was horrible defensively or not as good defensively anyway. And coming in and being like the number one defense and in the calendar year 2022, easily far and away the number one defense. That stuff is meaningful. And you say, all right, they figured out the rotation. They figured out their sets. They're running some stuff that makes sense now. The defense that Ime has installed is elite. Getting your stars to buy in, getting everybody to buy in, like that's coaching. And in light of all of the Ime needs to be fired talk, if the Celtics get up to 47, 48, 49, 50 wins, if they're in that mix and they finish the season at somewhere in the top 3 or 4, you got to give strong consideration to like, hey, you know what? Ime Udoka deserves some votes here. Monty Williams will probably win it, and probably should. You'll get some votes across, Spoelstra will get some votes. Plenty of votes will be spread around. But I just want Ime Udoka to be recognized. And the whole point of everything that I'm saying is I'm certainly not saying he's going to win Coach of the Year, and I'm not saying that he deserves to win Coach of the Year above any of these other guys. A lot of very strong candidates. But for all of the people who have been saying fire Ime, the patience, the lack of patience displayed in all of that has been, you're exposed. Like you can't just after 3 weeks of a season be like, oh my God, this guy sucks, fire him. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. Now the Celtics are in a position to be a top 4 seed, home court in the first round in a very tightly packed Eastern Conference. You know, you wish you had some of those wins back from earlier in the season, because the Celtics 4.5 games out of first, there are easily 5 games you can go back and look at and be like, oh yeah, that should have been a win. Chicago's in first right now. Celtics right there would be 3.5 games out if you just beat Chicago. In fact, if that one game flips, Miami's in first place. But the point is, Celtics have games that they can go back and be like, wish we had that one. But going from where they were, keeping the guys together, staying the course, making some adjustments, and getting to this point here, a noticeably different style of play. Coach has a big influence on that. So I just hope he gets that fair recognition. People have been, if you're one of the people who've been screaming fire Ime, then I hope you're now flipping around to the other side and going, you know what? Ime is actually not that bad. He's actually pretty good and getting better. It's a rookie head coach. Give him time. Some of the stuff that you're going to complain about, the response, whatever you just thought to say or whatever you just said out loud to me saying that, he has time to kind of figure that out, because he still hasn't finished his first year as a head coach. It's a pretty good start. It really is a pretty good start. All things considered, to be here, this is a pretty good start. And he could finish the season winning 50 games in his first season as a rookie head coach. Would be pretty damn good. All right, this is the Friday podcast, so I'll be back on Sunday night for the Monday podcast. I always record everything the night before. Talking about the Detroit and Indiana games, hopefully 2 wins. If they are losses, I don't even want to think about that. So please subscribe if you're new. If you're still here, hopefully that means you've liked the show and you want to subscribe. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. It's there Monday through Friday, daily, free. This is all free content for you Monday through Friday. Make it your first listen every day. If you're a loyal listener, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Now I'm asking you to do one more thing. Share the podcast. Tell your friends. Tell everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network.